Hello, everybody. Welcome to Sports Scope. I'm your host, Robert Butler, on this Wednesday. February the 15th. Really good day. All us single folks, we finally get through the cringeworthy uh, uh, Valentine's Day, where you get people ask you about Valentine's Day at work. It's really annoying. But, anyways, very good show on tonight. Where does Patrick Mahomes rank? I mean, 5 consecutive AFC Championship games, 3 Super Bowl appearances, 2 Super Bowl wins, 2 regular season MVPs, 2 Super Bowl MVPs, 2 Super Bowl wins. You're starting to creep in the all-time list. I'll give you my top 5 all-time, and did quite a bit of research on this. Now, also, John Ristano, I hope, John, I'm getting your name right, from Spitball and Sports will be in 30 minutes after the hour. Going to ask him about the Chicago Bears. Now, it looks like that they're going to keep Fields. I've got a different opinion on Justin Fields. I've been looking at Fields, and it's very rare for a team to get the number 1 pick. I can't remember the last time the Bears had the number 1 pick, to be honest with you. I know they've been up there lately. So I'm going to ask him about that. Going to get his thoughts on this Super Bowl last week was with the James Bradbury and everything call and whatnot. Also, Todd Monken, Pickles, the Georgia offensive coordinator, was hired as the Ravens offensive coordinator. He's back in the NFL. Very good hire if you want to throw the football, but that's the key if you want to throw the football. So I'll tease that. That's where I'm going to hit the ground running. But first, take a quick break, get this out of the way. I'll be back in a minute, 19 seconds. We'll hit the ground running here on Sports Scope. Hello, Sports Scope followers. After 5 years of doing this program once a week, balancing a 60-hour work week job, I've decided to do the program 5 days a week, 1 hour a night, taking a significant pay cut. So I've started a Patreon page, which is Patreon, Patreon/SportsScope, spelled the same way at the bottom of the screen you see there. For $5 a month, 17 cents a day, you can help support the program. You ask yourself, why Sports Scope? Well, I bring in such big names such as Al Borges, former Auburn offensive coordinator, and I cover the big news in sports that the corporate media will not cover. If you want to contribute more than $5 a month, you can go use the Cash App. The cash tag is Sports Scope, again spelled the same way, or you can go to the Zelle app, sportscope@gmail.com. SportsScope has about 5,000 followers and growing. If you want to advertise on the program, you can email me. The word is SportsScope, spelled the same way again, @gmail.com. Thank you and enjoy the program. All righty then. So the Ravens have found their offensive coordinator, Todd Monken from the Georgia Bulldogs, 2 national championships, been with Georgia 3 years. Listen to the Ravens insider and how he crafts this hiring of the offensive coordinator. Listen up. I'll give you my comments. It's going to be about a 45-second soundbite here, but he says a whole lot in just a little bit of time.
Jamison Hensley has more.
Jamison Hensley from the Baltimore Ravens.
The hiring of Todd Monken as the Ravens' new offensive coordinator ends a search that included interviewing 14 candidates over the span of 4 weeks. From what I was told, the Ravens asked Lamar Jackson for his vision of the offense at the end of the season, which was used in the selection process. But Jackson did not have any interaction with any of the candidates. Jackson's future is the next order of business for Baltimore. If the sides can't reach a new deal by March 7th, the Ravens will place the franchise tag on Jackson to keep him from becoming a free agent. This is an expensive decision. The exclusive tag costs $45 million, but Baltimore would control Jackson's rights as well as any potential trade talks.
All right, Porter, James.
They will control his rights without $45 million Pickles franchise tag, which he don't want to sign, I'm sure. But at $45 million exclusive franchise tag, and he said they will own his rights. They interviewed 14 offensive coordinators for this job. Now, I'll say this. This guy, Todd Monken, here, now he has coached in the NFL. He was the offensive coordinator for the Browns back in 2019. But I do like some of the schemes he did with Georgia. For instance, the quarterback sweep with Stetson Bennett, did that a few times, executed perfectly, really well-crafted type of play. Now, that being said, check this out. The Georgia Bulldogs threw the ball more than Tennessee did in college, and Tennessee had, for the most of the season, the best offensive yards in all of college football. Do you think that Lamar Jackson, with his deficiencies as a fifth-year player who just competed his fifth year in the NFL, do you think that he is going to be able to be successful with that many pass attempts? I think that they're wanting to get more of a pro-style quarterback. I think this sends a lot of signs out here. They are $100 million off, guys. They're $100 million off between Lamar's side, which him and his mom is his agent, and the Baltimore Ravens. Now, the Ravens, again, I checked it today to be for sure. According to Spot Track, they got $27 million in cap space. You know, they're doing pretty well. Okay, $27 million. Pro Football Focus, they got the number two ranked offensive line in the NFL. They've got the 22nd pick in the draft. They don't have a second rounder. They got Roquan Smith. By the way, they've already signed Roquan Smith 5 years, right at close to $20 million a year at linebacker. They're going to have a pretty good to great defense next year, I think. This team is always drafted well. They could scoop up a first-round pick. Remember, Lamar Jackson wins about 72% of his games, is a former MVP in year two. Only reason I don't take him is receivers don't want to play for him. 32nd in passing offense year before last. It was a little bit better last year because they had all those injuries. Missed 5 games last year, missed 5 games the year before that. The year before that, he was hurt in the Buffalo playoff game. You got to be a fool if you're going to give this guy more money than Deshaun Watson, a traditional passer who's won multiple playoff games in the league. So, you know, Todd Monken's not going to make this guy an all-world quarterback. I'm sorry, not at the NFL level. I think the Ravens know that. Could you find a team, Carlos? We talked about that. Carlos says, what crap are the Jets doing? This guy should have been the man to push that offense. Instead, they got Hackett. Yeah. So that is true. That is true, Carlos. You talk about Monken. Yeah. So you look at that and you think to yourself, okay, can you find a team to give you something for Lamar Jackson? A lot of people are throwing out Miami with those receivers, with that head coach. I think they'd look good on and off, but I think he would miss these guys more often than not. I think Tua's a heck of a lot more accurate. Now, Tua did have his concussion issue last year, and he's saying he's glad they took him out. I don't know how long Tua's good for this league. Now that Tom Brady's out of the picture, somebody said, I think Pickles mentioned a guy like Derek Carr would be a good fit down there. I said it would be good for Derek Carr to pick between Atlanta and Carolina. Atlanta would be a lot of these NFL sites, CBS, NFL, you name it. A lot of them say it would be a good fit there. They got plenty of money to cover his salary. I mentioned that now Arthur Smith's very creative. I can see something like that happening in Atlanta. They've got a top 10 pick. you can get a first-round pick for Lamar Jackson. You may be able to get a little bit more. So essentially, you get a top 10 pick. Just say any first-round pick with that 22nd pick. This team can go after Anthony Anderson from Florida. They can sign a traditional quarterback, a Derek Carr, or maybe make a trade for an Aaron Rodgers. Or they draft. One guy threw up the fact, I think Jason McIntyre, Fox Sports, he said, well, what if they just draft the Stetson Bennett late? What if they just sign a Jimmy Garoppolo and draft the Stetson Bennett in the 5th or 6th round? Now, Bennett's got a public intox charge out of Dallas. I think that was idiotic. That was been the player, obviously, that Monken coached at Georgia. That would be interesting. But the Ravens have a good dilemma to have, if you ask me. They've got cap space. They've got a airtight that defense I trust weeks 1 through 17, Pickles. This team has not lost a game in like 5 years in the preseason. They got a very deep team. This team put the hurt on Cincinnati. Is why that those offensive linemen went out and Joe Burrow didn't make the Super Bowl. The very good offensive line, very good defense. I know they got torched in that Miami game. A lot of that was because Lamar could not convert in the fourth quarter. That was before the trade of Roquan Smith, a potential all-pro level type of linebacker. This team drafts well. They got the money. They're quarterback away. They've got plenty of options at that position with that defense, with that coaching staff. I would definitely look at moving Lamar Jackson. And you get the right quarterback, this team could be a real legitimate Super Bowl contender, even in the very difficult AFC North. You know, ownership and coach, they know deep down that Lamar Jackson, game in and game out, he's not going to be able to compete with Joe Burrow, and especially with that salary they're trying to pay him, and a Deshaun Watson, and even an up and coming Pittsburgh Steelers team with their quarterback, with Kenny Pickett. They won the game down the stretch. Pittsburgh's only going to get better because Pickett's on his rookie salary cap. You're getting a lot of that dead money fall off from Ben Roethlisberger. So John Harbaugh knows this. You know, management knows, Eric DeCosta, the ownership, they know this. I think they're just playing it out because it looks bad PR-wise. But the guy runs too much, you know. I mean, you want to blame it. I think this is called saving face by moving on from their offensive coordinator. They know that Lamar's limited as a passer. His mechanics are flawed. He's 5 years in the league. It's a long shot if he changes it. You can find a sucker born every day, Carlos. We'll see what happens. Lamar not in the lineup. No, it's because, one thing, Taylor Huntley, they did get in the playoffs, and he missed 5 games. So what you're saying essentially is totally false, Carlos. It's totally false because they did get in the playoffs. Remember, they got in as a wild card. You know, the guy can't stay healthy. He has the most rushing attempts. He's going to succeed. He's going to succeed Cam Newton pace-wise in rushing attempts by a quarterback. That leads to disaster in NFL. You know, so I'm telling you, if you sign him, that's great for the North. If you're a team, if you're a fan of the Steelers, the Browns, Cincinnati, that's great. Because that's going to eat away at that great roster you got. And he's going to be on the bench a lot because he's going to be injured. So we'll see what happens. Todd Monken's not going to be a good fit for him. If it is, again, it'd be great for the opposition. All right. Okay. Other news. I got about 15 minutes, and I got John coming in here. And let's see. Okay, now. You know what? Okay, a lot of talk about Patrick Mahomes. How good is Patrick Mahomes? We're starting to get stuff. I mean, I've been reading your ESPN people putting him in the top 2, top 3. That's a little bit of exaggeration, but I will say this. I'll give you my top five. Top five all-time NFL quarterbacks, all right? Number one, very easy. Obviously, Tom Brady, you know, how can you go against a guy got most of the regular season records, touchdowns? We know about the, he's got three. I didn't know he has 5 MVPs, 5 Super Bowl MVPs, 7 Super Bowl wins. We talked about the multiple touchdown record. I mean, passing record, you name it. You know, Brady's got it. No real hard one. A lot of people don't have Montana. A lot of people, when I've looked this up, because this has been talked about all week, I haven't got around to saying it. But a lot of people got Peyton Manning as number 2. I'm not one of those people. Joe Montana's number 2, okay? By far, he's got the best quarterback rating in Super Bowl history. Remember, he played in the era with guys like Lawrence Taylor. I want to say Lawrence Taylor knocked him out in the 86 playoffs that year, right, Pickles? Knocked him out of the game, the 86-87 Giants team. He's took some shots here. One of the most clutch quarterbacks of all time. 4-0 in the Super Bowls. Could put the ball in the keyhole. Very clutch player. One of the greatest plays of all time to the Dwight Clark there. Montana's number 2. Montana was considered to be number 1 for a long time. And I'm going modern era, guys. Okay. Number 3, John Elway. Now, John Elway took 3 bad teams with bad coachings to Super Bowls. You know, John Elway, arguably the greatest. This not really arguably. You listen to any scout, not just Mel Kiper, all NFL scouts from that 83 and even up till now, 2023. Okay, 40 years. 40 years. This guy was considered the greatest prospect of all time. One of the strongest arms in league history, one of the better athletes, one of the only few quarterbacks to rush in 4 touchdowns, 4 quarterback rush, because he didn't have a running game, folks. He didn't have a running game for a long time. He gets a running game in his late 38 years old, wins 2 Super Bowls that way. He's carrying this team. He's carrying Dan Reeves, okay? He's carrying this team. By the way, they didn't have, during Montana's era and Elway's era, those teams were not the highest. I looked this up. Salary cap. They didn't have the highest salary cap. There was no salary cap until 1994. So these teams were getting outspent. 1992, for example, when Dallas went to the Super Bowl, the Colts had the highest salary cap. They didn't do nothing. Okay? Because they didn't, or had the highest salary. There wasn't a salary cap in the NFL to 1994. So Elway would be number 3 for me. Some people have Elway as number 1, Pickles. Still, 4 rushing most analysts. Okay, number 4. Okay, yes, 5-time regular season MVP. Arguably, Mike Francesa said this. I agree with this. Don't agree with him a lot. Peyton Manning, probably the best regular season quarterback of all time. 5-time MVP. The records that Tom Brady don't have, he's got. Okay? He's been to 4 Super Bowls. He's won 2. I don't have him higher because he's a big choke artist. And you know this. You know this, Tennessee fans. He's a big choke artist early in his career in the Super Bowl and in playoff games. He's been known to fold like a cheap suit. Okay? Number 5, yes, Patrick Mahomes, guys. Patrick Mahomes. I've got him in at number 5. 6 years in the league, 5 straight AFC championship games. Second only to Tom Brady, who's got 8. Okay. Athletic ability and arm strength. It is compared to it is compared to John Elway and Patrick Mahomes, 2-time MVP, 2-time Super Bowl MVP. I do not think I'm being hyperbolic or exaggerating that Patrick Mahomes is the 5th best quarterback in NFL history. Now, Why he said, why ain't Peyton Manning above him? Why is he not above Peyton Manning? Why is he not above Elway? Because Elway and Peyton Manning did it with multiple coaches, okay? Peyton Manning won 2 Super Bowls with 2 different coaches. John Elway went to 2 Super Bowls with 2 different coaches. Montana got 4 Super Bowls, and he's 4-0 and a perfect quarterback rating. So Dan Marino, my argument against Dan Marino, guys, Dan Marino is he had an opportunity. Jimmy Johnson said that we want to make it a power running team. Marino did not want to make that sacrifice. I got to hold that against him. I hold that against him. You got to make sacrifices to win big. And he didn't want to do that. If he did that with Jimmy Johnson, what did he do with Don Shula? What did Dan Marino do with Don Shula? We don't know. Okay? Marino's up there. I know he could throw the perfect pass. He could thread the needle. So, but anyways, yeah, John, I'll see you back there, man. I'm going to bring you on in just a second. Transition here. I'm going to make this argument, and I'll lead John with this question. There's been a lot of talk about Justin Fields the last couple of days, actually, here on Sports Talk Radio Waves, Fox Sports, Jason McIntyre, Colin Cowherd. McIntyre reported the other day that that the Bears, according to Pro Football Focus, the final rankings for the offensive line rankings, the Bears were 14th, guys. They were 14th, okay? And I was also thinking about it after talking to John on his show, Spitball and Podcast, that there was a coach here, the coach for Last Chance U. That's a Netflix series for I think it's like a junior college thing or whatever. Guy's a good coach, a lot of pro connections. He said this back in October about Justin Fields. He says, I think that the coaching staff, even in year 2, has already gave up on trying to develop Fields as a passer. They've already gave up trying to develop him as a passer. Also, kind of had a really bad moment with Fields. Home game, passing situation against that Detroit defense when they were playing terrible earlier this year, John. I'm sure you remember this. That kind of really made me take a step back from Fields and his development. Plus, let's not forget, there was a anonymous scout saying that he had work ethic issues. He had work ethic issues coming out of Ohio State. I know he's strong as an ox. I know he can run like the wind blows. He is all that as far as arm strength and leg strength, but you got to make throws in this league. I said the same thing about Jalen Hurts. That's why I would try to call and contact Indianapolis Colts and maybe try to sell them on maybe trading maybe that 4th pick and Ryan Stitchkin, who's did miracles with Jalen Hurts, and maybe try to get that pick from them, use that 1 pick, go after a Bryce Young or whoever your scouts have to be a better passer. Maybe it's Will Levis or Bryce Young. And on that note, I'll bring in John Restano here. Big Chicago fan now. Did you hear that last rant about the Bears? So, okay, you're out of Buffalo, right?
Yeah.
How did you become a Bears fan, man?
1977, Walter Payton. I watched a Bears-Cowboys playoff game. The Cowboys killed them. And they did I'll tell you what got me. They did a halftime music montage of Payton. And I remember the song was Nobody Does It Better or something. And I'll never forget it. And I think that's what did it. And then, of course, I'm 14 years old in 1985, and now I'm sold after that.
Now, did you grow up in the Chicago area, or did you grow up in Buffalo?
Always in the Buffalo area. My family just never liked the Buffalo teams at all. Like my brothers liked the Browns, and my dad, when he was alive, was a Jets fan, and I don't know, just a Bears fan. That's what got me. Peyton was it.
Yeah, Walt, a good friend of mine, Corey, if you watching the program, he's huge Bears. Bears and Celtics. I mean, this guy loved the Bears, loved the Boston Celtics. Yeah. So what made you want to start a podcast, man?
Well, I did AM radio for a while. back in like the early 2000s, but it was all politics. It was all politics stuff. That's all they wanted to do.
Yeah.
So I did politics. I hate politics, honestly. I mean,
Did you
I
do
still
talk radio? Or was you like a producer?
I did the radio. I was on the show. I did an hour, sometimes an hour and a half, maybe 2 by myself.
Oh,
and a lot of times here in Niagara Falls, where I'm at, Niagara Falls, New York, Buffalo area.
Yeah.
God, sometimes no one would call in, so I was talking to myself and answering my own questions, and I did that for a while, and then I got fired, and I just lost advertising, and it was politics kills you. So then I was out of it for a while, working at factories and stuff, and still doing that, and I don't know, podcasting. I saw it, and I'm like, I love this, and I love sports, so
yeah,
let's go.
How long have you been doing it?
This is spitballing. It started out as goal getters. I've had a couple co-hosts, probably 2 years, but Scott's a great co-host. I'm glad I found him.
Yeah, you guys are great. Y'all got good energy, man. Really
Thank
good
you.
energy, a lot of knowledge. I could tell you really know your stuff. You're just pop. I
Wow.
thought stuff like that, and
Old age is settling in. When you were on my show, I was blanking out. I don't know what the hell is going on, but we're all right now. I don't know.
Oh, no, you're doing fine. Hey, I forget stuff all the time.
Yeah.
Okay, so you heard my rant about Justin Fields.
Yeah.
What do you think, man? I don't mean to scare you there, brother, but I may want to trade him.
Here's a funny thing about me, and this is going to be sick, and you're going to be stunned. Maybe not. Up here in Buffalo, we have no college football. None. Yeah. I mean, University of Buffalo, but, that's MAC, and there's some good football. They play Eastern Michigan, Toledo, not bad.
It's not like the SEC, huh?
No. I grew up an Ohio State fan. And I've liked Ohio State since Art Schlichter and Mike Tomczak and all that. So ever since Justin Fields was there, I don't think I missed a snap of his. Yeah. Watched it all. Watched every Bears game. Snap, was very upset in a way that they allowed, Ryan Pace to make this decision on a quarterback. So as much as I love Justin Fields, loved him at Ohio State, incredible. He had great weapons though too around him. It's the perfect setting. Believe me, I'm not sold because I know Ohio State quarterbacks just don't have any kind of track record.
Well, I don't know. Stroud may beat that too, though. I don't know. He's getting a lot of ink right now too.
Yeah, I mean, you know what? It's funny because Stroud won't run. That was part of my problems with him this year. He would not run against Michigan. He just wouldn't run. Game. Yes. He decided against Georgia to do it. But anyhow, the Michigan game was a killer. It just kills you.
Oh,
and anyhow, back to what I don't know how to put. I don't know. I'm out to. I have no rating on Fields because Nagy and Pace were terrible. That year was absolutely horrible. They had Dalton there and. They always just wanted to be 500. So then Ryan Poles comes, and it's great. He strips it down. I was so happy when he was trading people away.
Yeah.
Luke Getsy. There was a point in the season where they allowed Fields to play, and I think it was against Dallas in the second half. I mean, because the year before, I don't know if you remember the game, you might not, against Cleveland, he got killed, Fields. Maybe 12 sacks the Browns had.
Yeah, I do actually. Yeah,
and it was
Garrett had a field day.
Yeah, and I don't know what to think. Pettis, his wide receivers were Pettis and the other St. Brown. He had Mooney for a short time. You know what, man? I don't know what to think of him. And I can't believe I don't know what to say on him because I don't think I've seen enough to know what to do. And that's got to be tough on Poles since he didn't draft him.
Right.
I think they got to feel the same way, Yeah.
Yeah. And now there's some people that are totally saying what I'm saying is ludicrous, that he's way more talented than these two quarterbacks, than these 3-4 that are being mentioned in the top 10 there. And then there's other people saying, well, Bryce Young is very accurate and, this guy's more of a traditional quarterback. And I read you the Pro Football Focus. The offensive line's not really that big issue. 14th, that's middle ground. They're not 32nd, and this guy's a heck of an athlete. Maybe he's stepping in. He's not making. You saw the second half of that Detroit game. I was for sure y'all were going to win that game. And he could not make those throws when they knew he needed to make the throw. They knew he had to throw.
Yeah.
And Lions were playing terrible at that time.
I also, he definitely hurt himself running, and I wish I could remember what game it was that he came up, and then he let him, and I couldn't believe they kept him in the game, and he hurt himself again. it's so frustrating to me because watching him play Ohio State, I watched him make a lot of throws. Now that I know that's so much different. You know what I mean? I know. I've seen him do some things in the games. I mean, there are the game against Buffalo, they got buried, but man, he threw such a nice throw to St. Brown. He shows me glimpses, but you know what? I can see both sides of this where people would say, now I'm concerned. Bryce Young, I don't know if I would be that comfortable with him. He's kind of small, but maybe, yeah. I don't know, man.
Well, I totally get that. That's the reason why I was thinking, I don't know, because he did get injured last year, and he's got a little bit of Tua in him, and you don't want to hear that, you know.
Levis is interesting, man. I really like. I don't want to see. You know, I'm so torn. I've been a Bears fan forever, and they never had a quarterback. Right? It's always been bad. It's been bad since McMahon, and they had Jay Cutler, and boy, he could throw. He was like Jeff George, you know. Yeah. And they never had one. So here comes this guy, and I am having a lot of the questions you are. Okay, I have yet to come out and say this guy's it. Oh my God, he's the guy. Man, I had Rex Grossman jerseys. That's how crazy I've been. Man. I mean, everybody.
He had a great arm. He just threw it to the wrong team a lot, you know.
I've always been waiting for the guy my whole life, man. And I agree. I'm not sure what I'm seeing. And it's a tough position that Poles is in. And I'm going to say something else about the Bears real quick.
No, yeah.
The best thing that ever happened, and it wasn't a firing, I believe he retired, is when Ted Phillips left. He was there since '82, the president of the team.
Oh, the president. Yeah, they got the guy from the Big Ten or somebody.
Yes. And I didn't even care who they got. I just knew it was time for Phillips.
Yeah.
Yeah. I was just glad that Phillips left. It's been since '82. The McCaskies, man, I mean, Virginia's 99. And, you know, this thing is bad. The Bears organization's really, really, really bad. That's why I was stunned when they let Poles do what he did, because they never like to do that. They like to be 8-8, you know, try to squeak in and not make everyone happy.
He's very young, too.
Maybe the new stadium. Maybe the new stadium is giving them some more reason to want to, like.
For my audience, they bought something at Arlington Park today. Made a purchase. Yeah.
Dome Stadium.
Nice. But I don't know how those people go up. It's so windy up there. No, it's like Buffalo, man.
Well,
do you go to the Buffalo games?
I went to see the Bears play the Bills, but it was like 3 years ago. Nathan Peterman was the Bills quarterback. So that was the Bears were up 30-0 at halftime, and me and my son left. But I'll tell you this: I don't know why they got a new stadium coming, and I don't know why they're not putting a dome on it. I'm really surprised that Buffalo isn't going with a dome. But I'm going to say this, man: the Justin Fields thing kills me because my Ohio State connection wants it bad. But you know, I sometimes I don't know. I don't know, man. I don't know.
Yeah. Hey, sometimes it's good just to not know, and that makes it interesting. I think it's the most interesting off season when you got the number one pick. You got $98 million according to Spot Track. That's the most in the league. It's like $40 million more than anybody else in the whole league.
This can restart that franchise finally. Yeah. I mean, man, 85, of course. Then 85 through 89, Ditka ruins it, and they're gone. Then you go through that time period. I mean, they were good in 06 with Urlacher and that whole deal. And it's just been, and now it's been a desert of just terribleness. And I hope that they're kickstarting it, man, because you can't keep on trying to just be 8-8, or now it's 8-9, whatever you want to say. Just can't do it.
I wish they wouldn't have picked up Claypool though, man. That he's really immature with Pittsburgh. That was a miss right there.
Yeah, and I'm hoping they're going to gather like a second round pick. But I'm assuming when they make this trade with maybe the Colts or even Houston, maybe whomever, they get their second also to make up for the Claypool deal. I hope.
That's right. Yeah, the Steelers are going to get like the first pick in the second round, man.
You know what, man? And Claypool, I liked him at Notre Dame. I remember thinking,
he was really good at Notre Dame at times.
Look at the size. Look at everything. And I mean,
I had a good rookie year.
Think about the wide receivers, though, the Bears had. Now, they had, what was the guy from New England, Harry? N'Keal Harry.
Yeah, I don't know why they picked up Harry.
They got nothing. It was so bad that, Cole Kmet was, I like him. Yeah. I think they didn't use him. But then I questioned Luke Getsy. The last thing I had said to a friend of mine who we talk about the Bears is maybe I don't think this coach is the one that's going to be the one that brings them to where they want to go either.
Eberflus, yeah.
Yeah, I'm not
Should have
sure.
went offensive minded.
I agree. And the one time they do, they either go with Nagy or that other lunatic Trestman. And
That
it
is
just
true. That is true.
they don't know what they're doing. So I'm hoping Ryan Poles. The last
it
time,
right.
think about it. They had decrepit Bill Polian help them. I mean, I don't know. He was 100, and he went
Yeah.
and helped them. You know what I mean?
He
Pick
is
their next
100, man.
Yeah,
Yeah.
he's a Bills guy.
Yeah, you know something that is interesting. Oh, Todd McShay said that Will Levis, he said, talked to one scout, said he could be as talented as Josh Allen. And he said another scout said that it could be like Carson Wentz. I mean, that's a big polar. That's on Will Levis out of Kentucky for everybody that's listening.
Yeah. Yeah, you know,
It's a crapshoot, man.
Yeah, it drives me. You know, the Bears have made me crazy my entire life on the quarterback position because they'll put a good defense together. I like David Montgomery. I mean, he might not be there, but I do like him. I just still can't get over this, and I'll never ever understand why they let Ryan Pace take another quarterback. Think about how they got Trubisky. They traded up to get him. And then did you hear what Pat Mahomes said?
He went 10th. What did he say?
He said at the Super Bowl with his dad, the Bears told him that if they were going to take a quarterback, it was going to be him. He expected to be a Chicago Bear. And here comes Trubisky. Man. Yeah.
With Matt Nagy, too, you know, I think it would have been very successful because he was a Andy Reid disciple.
Yeah, I know.
Man. Hey, that's a good transition. What did you think about this Super Bowl overall?
I loved the game. It was a fun game to watch. I hate the call at the end, of course, like everyone. I don't know how you could be happy with that. There wasn't a holding call all game. Not even offensive line, nothing. And
I didn't want to put words in your mouth. I'm right there with you, brother. I mean, geez, man.
That hurt. I mean, me watching it, I mean, I just wanted to get a hit. I'd love to see Hurts get a shot to come back down the field and score. I mean, he did fumble, so I know that kind of erased some of the great thing, you know, great game he had, the fumble, obviously, for a touchdown. But
yeah, he
impressed me so much that I just was really shocked. I didn't know if he had that, you know, in him, and he was great. He was really great. And Mahomes does a lot with little. I mean, I'm sorry, all he has is a Kelsey. I mean, I know Juju and all that, but man, you know, because I listen to the Bills. The Bills fans will complain that they don't have a second option. Okay, but I mean, I don't know if Kansas City has an option other than Kelsey. So
that is true, man. That know, here's my theory on what Philadelphia, they lead at 10 at halftime. Patrick Mahomes limping off the field. I don't know if you caught that at right around halftime. They're the second team in NFL history to blow a double-digit halftime lead. The other one was the Falcons and the Patriots 28-3.
Right.
I'm starting to think, go back a few years, last year, I thought Cincinnati was playing better football than the Rams. Zach Taylor, okay? Second half adjustments. These young guys, Pickles watches my program. He calls these guys techno geeks, these 30-somethings. They're great schemers, okay? Bad second half adjustments. The Eagles couldn't even get a stop, man. With all those players on defense, they couldn't get a stop in the second half. I don't know if you caught that, man.
No stops, no sacks, nothing.
No, with all that talent.
Yeah.
Running the ball out of you. You're an Ohio State fan. That kills me. Running the ball out of the shotgun.
Yeah.
Giving the running back not even 25 yards. Boston Scott, Miles Sanders, Kenneth Gainwell. None of them could get 25 yards. I think is this your son here?
Oh, that's my daughter.
Or daughter, Dominique. I'm sorry. Dominique. Okay.
Yeah. Hey, Dominique. Nice to see you.
I saw that Dominique, and I didn't know it was
yeah, I'm glad she's watching. Nice.
Thanks Mom. Hi, Dad. Yeah, right. Carlos calls them techno geeks. Like I said, go back even a few years ago. Sean McVay. He said he was totally overwhelmed by Belichick. That's the bad part about having these 30-something-year-old head coaches. You're a little bit older than me. growing up, we watch coaches, they get jobs at 40, 45, 50.
Yeah.
They don't get jobs at 34, 35 years old.
No, you're right. I agree. I mean, yeah, it was the most. It was the game was, it was such an exciting game that I'm still kind of baffled that I'm not baffled, but I should know better. But that call was made at the end. I watched it. You watch the replay, you watch how it went. The ball wasn't catchable, and there was a little bit of something. But I'll tell you what, man, that wasn't even defensive holding. I don't think
That
at
is
all.
a bang bang play. You let that play go, man. You got to let that. I mean, the old adage is they overcall the preseason and the regular season. Not unless it's a mugging, then you let it go.
Right.
And I went on your show so confident on Friday saying no quarterback.
Well,
but hey, I had the lead at halftime.
Yeah.
No quarterback making over 12.6% of the salary cap has ever won a Super Bowl. Mahomes has got 15 now. That bar is being raised. No quarterback that's won the MVP since 1999, Kurt Warner, ironically, is against my Titans here, has won the Super Bowl. He does it both. And I'm telling you, man, you got to put this. I put him fifth all time. I know that sounds a big stretch here. I've got guys like obviously Brady, Montana, Elway, Manning, honorable mention at top 10, Aaron Rod. I'm just throwing names out here. Roger Staubach. Who's the other? Unitas.
Yeah.
And
I heard you talking about
the top 5 or what would you put Mahomes right now? I mean, I know I didn't send you that, but
no, that's all right.
Just spitballing.
I think, God, it was such a legacy game. I mean, I think my co-host was saying,
right?
Yeah, it really was, because if you lose that one, that's a tough one to lose. He's top 5. I think he might be top 5. I think so. I mean, who are the guys?
Aggravated the ankle too.
I know.
Are you kidding me?
Willis Reed-like. I mean, yeah,
that was Willis Reed-like, man.
Hobbled, and you're right. I mean, you have obviously Montana and Brady, and oh, geez, who did you mention? Also, I
said Peyton. Now Peyton's won it. He's won it with 2 different coaches. My other thing is they need each other. Remember, he was only a 3-star guy out of Texas Tech.
Right.
He was a second quarterback taken. He was a little erratic, little Brett Favre, as Carlos said, Brett Favre. He's a little, so I think he needed Andy Reid to mold him. You know how good Andy Reid is with quarterbacks.
Yeah. I heard you bring up Marino, and that was that was interesting. And what you said to me, I mean, it was right on in my mind with his inability, and you know what's funny? He wasn't willing for the power.
He don't want to sacrifice.
Yeah. But he never really had. Then when you look at him after like Duper and Clayton, they didn't have much, did they? Or maybe, what didn't he? He had Irving Fryer, maybe, and he had like I know he had Keith Jackson. He might have had some tight ends. I don't know. You're right.
He didn't have a great pass rush, but he didn't want to be a power running team, according to Jimmy Johnson. What did he refuse with Don Shula? I mean, he becomes a big star. He was a big star at Pittsburgh. I'm trying. Brady never was the highest paid quarterback. I think maybe 1 year out of 23. Brady made some sacrifices, man. He made some sacrifices with Belichick.
My God.
Peyton never really did.
Oh my God, he made sacrifices. Yeah, I mean, talk about somebody who made careers. I mean, you think of those wide receivers, and when Wes Welker,
Branch. I mean,
wow.
That's just
it's sick. And what about Troy Aikman? How did you feel? Where would he be?
He would be in that 10. Now, remember, was this really an Emmitt Smith type of led team? Offensive line, power running. That's Jimmy. I'm reading this book, by the way, Jimmy Johnson's book. And you want to take anything away, but was it really about Jimmy and Aikman, or was it really about Aikman, Irvin, Emmitt, the great offensive line orchestrated by Jimmy Johnson?
Right. Yeah. And then the Vikings gifting them everything in that one Herschel Walker deal.
Walker trade, yeah.
It was great. I don't know, man. You know what? I might be a dinosaur. I got to get out of this. I always think running the ball and defense will win, and maybe I'm out of it. I gotta switch, because I really thought that was going to be the key that would have helped. That would have made the Eagles were going to win the game.
Yeah,
but they didn't run the ball like you said earlier.
Well, they're running out the shotgun. They don't run under center.
That's a problem. And maybe no one does it anymore. I mean, like Justin Fields has never I don't think I've ever seen him take a snap under center. And I don't know.
Back to the techno geek thing, man. That's too much college ball right there. Some guys are forgetting the basics. And what did Kansas City do? They used Pacheco. Mahomes gets under center. Boom. This guy looks like Chris Johnson 2.0.
He did. Yeah.
You know?
Right.
Yeah, I'm out of Nashville. Yeah, that dude was good his second year, man. I think he's going to be a great fantasy player next year. I do talk a little fantasy every now and then. Absolutely.
That he was unbelievable. And I wish I would have bet a little bit. You know, I did a little dabbling on DraftKings, and I knew he was going to score. I mean, the guy was just he looked good. Well, I forgot what other game, even against, I think when they lost to Buffalo, he looked really good.
Yeah.
And you know who else I think is a good quarterback, by the way, in the league right now, who I know that they lost this year. And I think Joe Burrow is. I really like Joe Burrow a lot.
I think he's done more with less. I would probably take him over Mahomes, because look at Zach Taylor's record, 6-25 the first couple of years.
Yeah.
Look at Ed Orgeron, fired at LSU. This guy's amazing. His ceiling, I don't think I'm being hyperbolic here, is Montana Brady. I just don't know if he can get a decent team around him on a consistent basis with the Bengals, man.
Yeah, and the other young quarterback that, because he had Urban Meyer there, was Trevor Lawrence. Whole year was lost. Think about that. Urban Meyer year is a loss.
He's getting better every week, lad. I know I'm out of Nashville. I'm tired. That's killing me. He's getting better every week.
I'm hoping I don't know. Justin Fields has to do that next year. I mean, This is such a big decision for the Bears. I mean, because if he's not doing that, if we're getting to week 5, it's the same thing. I don't know. You know what I'm saying? It's huge. This is going to be it's. I go right back to that.
Bring you back between now, like if something big happens, I want to bring you back on a program, because I know you follow the Bears all the way, man.
Yeah,
and they're going to be in. So, what's your thoughts on this NBA trade deadline? Wasn't that crazy?
It was great. Yeah, I love it. I wish other deadlines would be like them. Like, I'm a big NHL fan, and they have their deadline coming up, and they just don't do it the right way. You know, they just don't. They'll make all their trades before the deadline. So you get on a podcast, you try to do a deadline show, and there's nothing to do.
Nothing.
So, but anyways, I watched the Phoenix Suns last night, and if Ayton plays like that, they could win even if Durant wasn't there. That's what's interesting about that team to me. And I think Durant will take pressure off of him. I don't know. I was watching, what's his name? Oh my God, Josh Okogie. I don't know. He was the guy off the bench for the Suns. Okogie. Thank you, my wife. She, thank God she's here. She's got all the brains, and he was great. I don't see how TJ Martin or whatever his name is, TJ Warren comes back.
Warren, yeah.
To me, I think I think right now, I don't see how they're beatable. I think Devin Booker is underrated, maybe because he plays in Phoenix, but I'm really sold on them for some reason. I don't know how you feel about the Suns.
Well, I was like I told you on your program. My only concern is fatigue. Durant coming back from injury, 34 years old, been injury prone before. Chris Paul, I want to see him win a ring. He seems like he's always coming up short. 37 years old. Can he run with the young Grizzly team? Who's the other? Minnesota's going to be young and hungry. The Kings, they're going to be running crazy and wild. Denver's a 1 seed. Can they get a better seeding with those 3 players, those depth players they traded. Now they did get Terrence Ross, from what I understand, right?
Right.
In the buyout market. Now that may set them back over the top, but can you catch these guys after the All-Star break, 23 games to go, get a 4 or 3 seed, maybe a 2, and can Kevin Durant and Chris Paul stay healthy? It seems like a tall task, man.
Yeah. Yeah. No, it does. I'm watching it and I'm thinking of last year. And I guess this is, you know what, I always end up, here's one thing you don't know about, but I've said it a couple times. Big NHL fan. If I could turn my camera around right now and show you outside my window, my across the street neighbor is Canada. That's who's across the street from me. So like it's been hockey my whole life, along with all the other stuff.
Oh, but you're right on the line, the Canada line?
Oh yeah, I'm right here. You could walk right across.
How far are you from Toronto?
90 miles. I'm about 90 miles from Toronto.
Oh, wow. That's nothing, man.
Yeah, no. I get, like I said, I grew up on all kinds of Canadian TV, and that's why I end up liking the Maple Leafs and hockey, but whatever. But, you know, I'll tell you this, though. Like, when I watched Ayton last night, I thought to myself, you know what, there's another thing with him. He's just a little bit, like, you got to get a spark in him. You almost have to, if I'm playing against him, I wouldn't want to get him mad.
Some of these big guys, you got to get them motivated, don't you?
Yeah. And the other night, another trade thing that I watched, the Mavs between Luka and Kyrie not knowing who wanted to take the last shot. Yeah. They don't know each other at all, you know? There's no chemistry whatsoever.
That is very Kevin Durant, Russell Westbrook 10 years ago, right? No, you take the shot. No, you take the shot.
The Suns too. I'm back on the Suns real quick. It slipped my mind.
Yeah, of course.
I appreciate when a team goes for it. And here's what I mean. Last year, how could you run that back again after what happened? What, they scored 20 points in the half? It was so embarrassing.
Embarrassing, John.
Right. So it makes me think, to me, in my mind, you got to go for it, right? I mean, bring the guy. I mean, I cannot wait to see the West. The East, on the other hand, I'm a Knicks fan, but you know, there's a big drop off after the Sixers. I mean, Cleveland's all right, but you know, it's a pretty big drop. Knicks are playing the Hawks tonight. I got to check out that's a big game for them.
Yeah, Carlos he's in New York City, and I told him I like Thibs, but maybe you need an offensive guy. You know, maybe this is a Mark Jackson, Steve Kerr situation in New York, where maybe you just, you know, Thibs has got he's got the culture. Now he needs somebody to drop some better plays. Not named Mike D'Antoni. They still have to play defense. He don't play any defense. This team.
No, I don't want him. I don't want to recycle any Van Gundy's. I also, though, one guy I wanted was Mark Jackson. I never understood how he didn't end up becoming.
He wants Mark Jackson.
Yeah, how he never ended up being the Knicks head coach. Knicks are, I'll give the Knicks this. It's fun to watch again. They were unwatchable for a long time. Julius Randle is really out of control sometimes, but I enjoy him, and I like Brunson a lot. Wow, is he
Brunson, good. Man.
Yeah,
I thought that was a great. I'm glad you got Brunson and not the guy who went to Cleveland. I think he's too ball. Mitchell's way too ball centric for me.
And he's a guy. Yes, and he's a guy that I want to bring back Devin Booker up. They always kind of. I feel like people believe that Mitchell is better than Booker, and I think it's the other way around. I feel like when you go on Twitter and you look around and you see people, they always seem to be. I don't know, man. I think if you put Booker on Boston, he could be Tatum. You know what? I think he could be.
He's very talented. He's really streaky.
Yeah, he plays good defense, good defender. When I watch him, I watched a lot of Phoenix games. I couldn't even tell you. It's probably because I got insomnia.
If him and Ayton can carry the team and make that next step, or if they can have an Andrew Wiggins type of run, maybe it can happen. I really love to see Durant kind of savage his reputation a little bit. Yeah. He knows he made a mistake going to Golden State, and that was letting him off the hook. And Chris Paul, I thought they had it a couple of years ago. Of course, Milwaukee beat them. Remember, they shut down the league, stopped the trade to the Lakers. Paul's always seemed to have bad luck, man. He gets injured.
And he does have sometimes And I like him, but sometimes he does like choke a little. There's a little bit of a thing when we get in those moments.
Yeah, he does.
You know, him and the big guy in Philadelphia is another one, Embiid. Sometimes when the moments are big, they fumble. I don't know. Do you see anybody though in your mind that can the West beat the East in the final?
It depends on how much Jamal Murray elevates his game. And really, on paper, we know the championship caliber is in LA with the Clippers. Was that Kawhi's already got a ring. The head coach there was Ty Lue. He's already won a ring. Kawhi seems to be holding back right now. I like the trade. I was talking about this the other day. Some of their bench guys that they've picked up. I really hope they don't get Russell Westbrook, but that's rumored that they may. If they do, bring him off the bench. He cannot play the last 5 minutes. He'll screw that up. But I think Clippers have championship caliber if they can stay healthy. And Denver has not been able to keep Jamal Murray healthy in the playoffs. I mean, you see how good that they've went the distance before. But I'm thinking it's Boston to lose, man. I mean, if Boston just stay healthy, Michelle, Robert Williams,
Yeah,
I mean, I know Milwaukee, they look really good right now, but it seems like they're very Giannis dependent, though, when it comes right down to it.
And he is, I'll tell you what, man, he really is something like I haven't, you don't see much. Giannis is unreal. Great to watch and all. But, a good point there about Monty Williams. No doubt about that. He had better
He's
tread
a great coach, man. I like that guy.
Yeah, he is. But now you got some guy. Yeah, it'll be interesting, man, because when you spend all that money, something's got to give. Something's got to happen.
Do you think this is, and I need that, I bring on the Philly sports guy. I should have asked him about this the other day, but I might not bring him on for a while. He's bummed out about the Eagles, but I wonder if this is Doc Rivers. If they don't win, if they don't get to the finals or even the Eastern Conference, is this his last year?
It should be, I believe. It should be. I mean, he's been around. My God. Yeah, it should be. It would probably be time because things are getting stale. You know what I mean? You can feel it. It's just getting stale, and it's time to move on. I mean, I think that would be it. It might be it either way. I mean, because how much more? Yeah. How much more? There's no more evolution. There's no more. Nothing's going to happen. So it might be it for me. Maybe it goes to the front office. I don't know, but I'm not. I agree. I mean, I might have got rid of him
like 2 years ago.
What's that?
They brought Morey in 2 years? Yeah. Darren Morey. I mean, he hasn't been there that long.
Mm-hmm. I would have let him go before. I truly believe. I don't even know if he'd have been gone this far with me, but
Contract is a killer. Carlos says, I thought Tobias Harris would be better than that. I mean, he's good, but I feel like they can get a little bit more out of Harris. I mean, I've been following him since his Tennessee days at UT college, man. And they kind of shrink in the bit. And you're right, Embiid he's always hurt.
Yeah, he's hurt. He fumbles. I don't know. I like him a lot too. I mean, he's something else, man.
Dude, I love his passion for the game and everything, But
he does drop the ball. I can't remember who they were playing. Might have been Milwaukee when he had the chance and he had the ball. He dunked the ball and he fumbled. He literally just dropped the ball. He dropped it out of his hands.
Like Big Pat Ewing did in '95 against the Pacers to miss it.
Oh,
I watched that game live. Do you remember that?
I remember that. I remember 90. Oh my God. I remember 94. I wanted to shoot somebody when they had OJ on the screen and the Knicks were in the corner, like about minuscule. I couldn't even see it.
I thought they were going to beat. I thought they were going to beat Houston that year too.
You want to talk, man? I'll tell you, I don't have good luck. The Knicks haven't won since '72. The Maple Leafs haven't won since '67. I mean, the Bears. I got to do something. I do like the Yankees. But
at least you're. Are you a Yankee fan?
I am a Yankees fan. Yeah.
You're good. You got Yankees. They can take care of everything.
I'm spoiled. They haven't won since '09, so I'm mad.
Yeah. I thought they was going to win last year, but Houston is just throwing BBs out there, man.
Yeah, the Yankees are. They're in a weird spot, man. They keep on. They'll go grab pitchers like Frankie Montas or now I think Rondon. They get guys. They pitch well in Oakland. They'll pitch well in Chicago. When there's no pressure, they come to New York and they fold. And it's been happening my whole life.
In the late '90s, they would do great.
Yeah. Well,
they can't get middle relief for some reason nowadays.
No, and you know who else was? And I think he went to the Royals, and maybe that's where he's going to end up. And it was Chapman. What he did last year was really something. When he just didn't show back up he just didn't come back, and now he's a Kansas City Royal.
I've gotten away from baseball. I'm getting back into it this year. I used to be real deep into it, but I like the fact that they're doing the shift thing. They're eliminating shift. Are they supposed to bring the clock this year too? The pitch clock?
Well, I don't know. I got to read. I stopped reading after I saw they're still using the Ghost Runner in the 10th inning. I just lost my mind. But I'm like, I can't.
I thought they did away with the Ghost Runner, but maybe they did keep that. I don't know.
No, they kept the Ghost Runner, and I was furious. I'm like, this is softball. I don't want men's slow pitch bar league. Softball in the 10th. Can you imagine? I'm going to miss the Yankees. Someone's going to miss the playoffs on that.
Right. Putting the runner. I thought they did away with it. I have to go back and check. I want to say they did. Pickles likes the Braves. He's out here in the South.
Yeah, who did you being in Nashville and stuff? Who was your team?
Growing up, it was Atlanta.
Atlanta.
Yeah, Atlanta. And we've had the 90s were rough, man. Other than 95, I mean, just but they were good. I mean, my dad's growing up, they were terrible.
Right.
I mean, they had a Hank Aaron one year, but they went through a dry period, and I just stopped watching it after Boston. I always hated the Yankees because the way they did the Braves, but I stopped watching after about 2005. Not like really into it, but I'm trying to get back in. I feel like it's making a comeback.
Yeah, it's
because they're making changes to the game,
And the one thing baseball's not, I mean, it got out of hand with the Red Sox and the Yankees when Don Zimmer got bounced on his head by Pedro. I mean, it was
hype then, man.
But it was great, right? And and then Major League Baseball tried to stop it. You got A-Rod fighting Veritek. You got all kinds of good stuff. And I feel like they got to let that come back a little bit again.
Yes.
They went really hard at making sure everyone was friendly. I know that Yankee stuff. That got crazy. I remember the guy, they were fighting in the bullpen. I think it was Jeff Nelson fighting one of the fans who he thought was a security guard. They're throwing punches. And I mean, it was great.
Or Carlos to know that.
It was great stuff, man. Speaking of the Mets, my God, they have Verlander now. So
yeah. Well, Carlos, he's going to be on the program Friday. And he's everything is with the Mets there, but they always have the worst luck. They always get somebody just a year or two late.
Yeah, that's the Mets.
I used to live in New York, man, in 2002. Mo Vaughn, I was all hyped up and stuff.
Oh yeah.
Alomar, Tom Glavine.
I'll tell you what, though,
you're nothing in 2002, man.
Your Braves pitching, though, with Smoltz and Glavine and that whole crew, Maddox, oh, my God. It'd never be better than that.
We need some more power hitting, and they got the DH in the NL now. There's some good things happening in baseball. They need to shorten the season. The regular season needs to end on July 31st, playoffs in August. Be done by Labor Day. Do not compete with the NFL. That's just my opinion.
I kind of agree with you on one thing. I'll say this, growing up, Reggie hits the 3 home runs against the Dodgers. That was in October. I mean, Jeter's being called Mr. November, and that's just not.
It's just November. Going back farther and farther, right?
Yeah, and you're
January.
Right. And it hurts because this is sick. I'll watch the whole baseball season, get to the playoffs, and next thing I know, I'm watching a Monday night football game instead of a playoff game of baseball. So you're right. Yeah. You can't compete with that monster, the NFL, at all.
When it's Labor Day, man, down in the South, it's all college football, man.
Yeah.
And then the next week we got the NFL, and then baseball. Occasionally, if it's on a Thursday night or Tuesday night, I'll catch a night game. I did watch Houston in the playoffs, and I was impressed with them. I was impressed. Hugh Darvish. I like what San Diego's doing. They're spending a lot of money. I'm going to try to invest more time into it. I'm going 5 days a week now,
Oh, yeah, that's awesome. And you've got a fan in me. I'm watching. And if baseball time, anytime, man, I'd love to talk. Brother. Anything you want to talk. I'm always ready to talk. I love talking sports.
Now, I don't know anything about hockey. I know we got a team down the street here in Nashville, the Predators. Other than that, I think I don't even know what offsides is.
I'll tell you, man, hockey is
icing. I don't know none of that stuff, brother.
No, hockey's it's always been like a a niche type of sport. I mean, it really is when you think about it.
Yeah.
Where I live around the Great Lakes, it's really big, but, Cleveland don't have a team, though. You'd think they would. But Pittsburgh, the Penguins been there a long time, the Red Wings, the Leafs, the Sabres right here in town. So that's why it's always funny to me. Nashville does good, though. They sell that place out.
They are good. Oh, there's fans everywhere.
Yeah.
The women here love hockey. I'm a single guy. I should like it, but I can't fake it, man. I ain't into it like that.
That's weird. That's an odd thing. I wonder what that's all about.
Houston,
women like
he's talking about Houston. Hockey and soccer. Carlos, hockey's just not that. It doesn't trap. Now, soccer's growing big time, but I know UFC's growing big time. I got to invest more into that. I like UFC. I'm not a big soccer guy. I try. It always ends up coming up short for me. I don't know the rules of that. Hockey, though, I mean, I grew up with this stuff. I mean, it's on right now over here in the corner. I mean, I that's just my thing. It's almost like Saturday night hockey night in Canada. I haven't missed it since. And then Robin's here, so she's going to hear this. It was in 2002. I'm going to forget dates. Damn it. We had our first date, and the Maple Leafs were playing the Ottawa Senators. And I remember we ended up going to a place in Women
Buffalo.
love hockey, dude. What's up with that?
Well, she didn't know I was watching the game. I had it over her head. Right over there. The game was on the screen, and we were, whatever. She loves hockey. Yeah, I know. Man, you'll get into hockey.
Pretty girls down here. My friends tell me all the time. I said, well, I think I took a date one time. We had fun. It's just a lot of hassle. I don't like going to the game. I bring on Philly Sports Guy. He goes to all the Eagles games. It's a lot of hassle, man. I mean, when you get older, it's like, I don't want to see every angle. I want to watch the game,
Yeah. God, I don't go either much. Niagara University, where I went to school, lives right down the street from me. They're Division I basketball. They're in like the MAC. And it's fun because I'm 2 seconds away. I'll go watch the game and come home. I love the Purple Eagles when I can see them. And sometimes they'll play. They get in the tournament here and there, but Iona kills them because they got what's his name is their head coach now, who used to be at Louisville. Why am I Pitino?
Rick Pitino.
Yeah, he's there. He was just there. He was just there last Sunday. He beat Niagara pretty good. So.
Man, I love Pitino. I know he's got a little shady past, but he wins, brother.
I miss, what? I should have grew up down south or something, or in the Midwest, because I love college football. And I'm going to tell you here, it is a desert. There just is none. It's bad.
Man, I went to Knoxville. I did a show in Knoxville before Tennessee played Florida. I got Alabama fans all over me here. We're in Vanderbilt town. A good friend of mine I go to church with, he goes to the Vanderbilt games, and they're terrible.
Yeah.
That tells you what they're all about here.
So, the home of Jay Cutler's place.
Yeah, Jay Cutler. And I actually, a guy's mother that I work with on my day job, he's a player for the University of Tennessee baseball team. And they were number 1 in the country.
Wow. Yeah, he got it all, man.
Years.
He says he would give away the Predators for a case of Budweiser.
Yeah, Pickles is just he's not into hockey. He's straight Nashvilleian. Yeah. There's rumors we may get a baseball team in the future. I would love to have an MLB or a national an NBA team. I like the Grizzlies, but I would like to have a Nashville team here in the NBA.
Man, Nashville baseball with the Reds, that'd be an awesome, pretty good rivalry.
Maybe an AL team,
True. They deserve it. Where you're at is growing so fast. I imagine
it's a headache, brother. We got growing pains.
You sure do. I don't know what it's like here in Niagara Falls. We're so depressed we don't even know what hit us. So,
hey man, thanks for coming on. Sorry I held you over. It's good catching up though. Good talking. Good talk, brother.
I'll talk sports anytime as long as you like. This is a great show.
Thanks, John. Hey, thanks everybody. Stay in touch, man.
Yes, take care.
All right, buddy. Thank you, guys. I will see you all tomorrow. Same time, same place here on Sports Scope, 7 p.m. Central Time.